Hi guys, back again. Another update to Halloween Horror. This is another interim update. It's taking a little bit longer for me to get everything the way I want it. So this is preview 4C. Preview 5 still some time away. It wouldn't surprise me if I do a D or an E, but it's just the amount of things I want to put in it. It's just going beyond what I originally planned. It's one of those things, as a game evolves, you just add more and more ideas into it, and something changes and you think, okay, I'm going to rip that, I'm going to change the way this works, and it's just the whole thing is just obviously constantly evolving. So what I'm going to do is, it may end up that this game is now pushed back a year. It may be that I push it back for 26 rather than 25. Purely because I'm toying with the idea. I might want to shift this into a cartridge game because there's that much I want to put in it. Which means there's going to be some rework at a point. But yeah, I'm more tempted to make it an even better game than what I planned. I could just do a truncated version, but I don't want it to be too much in a similar vein to things like Christmas Caper. I want some extra things going in, which I've not discussed on this channel yet, but I've discussed briefly in forums like 1164, and maybe I mentioned maybe on X or Twitter if you prefer Twitter. But so anyway, there's a few updates gone in so far. So I'll probably just go with what's gone into it so far. So let's have a look. So we now got some animated enemies in there. They're not doing much other than just walking back and forward at the moment. So that's the first thing you'll notice. Obviously I started adding sound at the end of the last preview. Some of the sound effects went in for like jumping and what have you. Still no collision in here yet for enemy stuff or what have you. A lot of debug on the screen at the bottom, so just try to ignore that best you can. I've been toying with getting some more sprites down there, but the timing is super critical because it's just before I open the vertical borders. I've got 5 down there at the moment, but I put in a 6, but it was it wasn't quite right. I might have to revisit that sometime, but as it stands, I've just got the 5 sprites in the bottom border for now. But so what we've got here, we've got basically, I'm just testing the multiplexed routine with these enemies. So we've got phantoms. Like I said, there's no collision. I'm just jumping over them just to give you an idea. These phantoms. So there's a little bit of animation on the very bottom of them. You can barely see it though. But I might have to I might put a bit more animation on them just to make it a bit more obvious. But yeah, so phantoms. Yeah, they're just drifting around. That's pretty much what they'll do. They'll drift around. They'll drain you with energy if you come into contact with them. So best avoid them really. But I think they look okay for the most part. They're supposed to be creepy. I don't know whether make them flicker on purpose or the fact that there's a bit of transparency in there. That probably makes it all right. I think. Because it's what you would expect, like a ghostly spectre type, phantom type creature, I suppose. Whether I move their arms or not, I don't know. I wanted them just their arms out, extended like a zombie type fashion, I suppose. Really, that's the idea then. And I wanted to make them. I think the grey colour is probably better. I could have put them in like another colour, dark red maybe, blood red. I don't know, but we don't have a really dark red, do we, on the 64? It's just like a medium red. But so what else have we got? we got animated swamps. This is now the final, like the swamp bubble explosion, like I was talking about in the previous preview. So yeah, there's a bit of animation there. That just alternates, obviously, between like 4 different positions, or sometimes eight positions. Depends on how many swamps are on screen, and some of these will be active with a little creature coming out of it, and some of them won't be active. So I'm happy enough with that animation at the moment as it stands. I don't think I need to change that anymore. Some people were commenting, how do I fit this many animated characters into the game? So what you do with when you design a game like extended background color mode, you reserve a single character, and then what you do, you have all your animated characters outside of that character set, and you just copy them in, and that's called dynamic characters animation. You're dynamically copying in each character as you go into that same character. So you use that one character, and that just gives you then the animated effect. And people are saying, well, what about the rest of the time? Well, there's a technique. If you don't have to do these copying routines all on an IRQ. You can be clever and you can let the processor deal with it outside your IRQ. So you're just saving a lot of raster time. And it's the same when you were doing, like, say, complex scrolling routines. You don't have to necessarily just do it on an IRQ. If you're calling it from an IRQ, you just call like a routine which looks for a flag, basically, to indicate whether it's okay to do the copying, and then you tell it and say yes, you can go away and do it, and then that's done under processor time, and then it sets a flag to say I've done, and it tells the IRQ, alright, you're done, so I'll display the changes. And that's all that is. It's the same with the fire lava pits. You know, the animation on the flame at the bottom is just a single character. There's 4 or 5 characters, obviously, for the actual flames, and they're just cycling between the 5. But all that, again, that is done with the processor. It's not done on the IRQ. So you're splitting the workload, basically. And that's why you can have a skinny amount of rester time for doing it, because it's not doing anything. It's the CPU that's to the one side, sort of thing. It's a little technique a lot of people do. I think it's been done in the past years ago. They probably thought about it, I would imagine, but it's what I do. It's never caused me any real problems. So that was just a quick mention for those who were asking me on that on various forums and stuff. So yeah, so what else has been going on? Well, you might notice a very subtle difference in this bottom gravestone. This bottom gravestone is dark grey as opposed to the medium grey of the other two. So the idea is what will happen in the game is when you start stomping on graves, and the idea is you stomp on a grave to release one of these nasty enemies, whatever it'll be. It may be a phantom, it could be a skeleton, it could be something else. There's another creature I've got planned for coming out of these on this first part of the game. So they'll spawn so many enemies, but they won't keep spawning constantly because you've got to progress through each screen. Now, what I'm thinking of doing, it is a flick screen, but I may limit you so that you can't just go to the next screen straight away. You finish everything on here and then you can progress to the next screen, if you know what I mean. That's another idea I've been toying with, and the reason for that is just I think it just makes the whole progression element a bit simpler, because rather than you progressing through 7 screens and then going back through 7 screens maybe just to try and find these magical Halloween pumpkins that you got to find to defeat the big, like, nasty boss at the end of the game. It probably makes more sense if you just complete everything on this first screen, find as many pumpkins as you can, and then progress on to the next screen. But then you can go back, but then you'll probably find out once the screen's been completed, all these gravestones will turn dark grey. You won't be able to stomp on them anymore. There'll be no more spawning enemies, and the screen will probably be just filled with something like bats or something, which would be the pest, and they'll just they might knock a little bit of energy. They're more of a nuisance, bats, when they appear, but the idea is like that they'll just be there as a, yeah, this screen's sort of completed. Because I've also thought of adding in a time element as well for each screen. So there'll be like a timer. And then I thought the idea was it would be counting down maybe to like midnight or between midnight and 3 a.m, which is sort of classified as the witching hour on Halloween. And that's when all the demons and stuff are supposed to be. So something could happen once the timer runs out. I'm thinking of maybe introducing, because the ghosts could start to appear and some other things as well. That would just make you push you along a bit just to get a move on in the game. So yeah, because you don't want to just like standing around like this and you think, okay, yeah, okay, right, whatever, and you might just shoot 1 or 2 zombies, or you think, okay, I've had enough of this. But there's always going to be an element of progression, and you've got to just, if you hang around too long, something bad will happen. So so your aim is to get through so many screens and then move on to the next section. So yeah, so there's, like I said, lots of ideas at the moment, but it's pretty much all there in the offing. Okay, so now we got some animated skeletons. I designed these 8-0. So what you can see now, this is the I've just jumped into the zone. These Triffids have spit out a stalker. These stalkers which follow you around and they try to pursue you. So yeah, there is a little sound effect added to them, but yeah, I don't know if you can hear that. I'll probably just maybe just put that on just in case. Bear with me, just in case. I don't know if you could hear that or not. So just bear with me. Oh, there we go. And what I've done, these little stalkers, it's just a single few pixels, but I've done some bit of alternation. It makes it look like it's almost like a bat flapping around its wings. So I'm quite pleased with how it's turned out. And they just follow you around. They stalk, pretty much similar to how Boris used to stalk Quasimodo in Christmas Caper. So he'll just follow you. So you just basically, what you do in the code, you just set up like a ghost position for Quasimodo, like a position of where he once was, and then you have the object that you're firing go to that last known position of where Quasimodo was. And depending on how fast you want it moving around depends on the delay that you have between capturing Quasimodo's last position and his new position. But yeah, so the stomping is still there. Nothing spawning yet from that, but then what will happen is those gravestones will start to flash a colour, so you jump off quick, ready, in anticipation of whatever's going to come out. And if there's something already floating around like a phantom, then it probably you won't be able to spawn anything out of the gravestone until you've dealt with this thing coming around. So, and it's finding the correct weapon that will, because if you sort of like, I don't know, fire a water. Well, water's going to have not much effect probably on a phantom. I'm not going to tell you which ones will actually deal with each of these creatures and what have you, but it's for you as a player to work out. So, and again, it's the same with Triffids. You've got to work out what will disable them if you're finding they're being too much of a pain, because they're spitting out these stalkers, and you think you're wanting to get past the screen and what have you. So, but yeah, but there we go. It's moving along, but like I said, the idea is maybe I'm conscious of running out. I just went there for a safe haven, but there isn't one. There's no safe haven in this game. I'd probably be best off down there on that other ledge. Yeah, there you go. Spit. But yeah, I'm quite happy with the way they're flopping around. It looks like it's flopping out her wings. I might refine it a little bit more, but yeah, it's going okay. But like I said, with all the ideas, I'm conscious. I was going to say I'm conscious of just running out of memory. I allocated about 22k for code, but with all the ideas and things I want in, because once obviously I get away from this stage, this graveyard stage, into the next stage of the game, the screens will obviously look different, it'll feel different, and so the creature design for that part won't necessarily be the same as this. And for these multiplex sprites here, I can use pretty much the same routines. I can make them generic, and all I'm doing is altering the sprite pointers and the colours, and the starting and obviously the ending position, the animation speed. So I can keep certain routines and reuse them. And this multiplexing routine is actually, this is an evolution of the elf routines from Christmas Caper, and it's a lot more efficient than Christmas Caper, because Christmas Caper, everything was unique in each of the actual multiplex zones. So all the code was like multiply times 3, whereas this is not. This is like I'm decided to, I can reuse the routine for each of the zones, which is the proper way to do it really. But Christmas Caper was the first game I wrote, so you know, it's it was bound to have flaws in it, but I'm still, you know, I was still happy enough with that game. It's for the first game ever. But yeah, so the code is just an evolution of that. So I'm quite pleased, and the way I'm calling it as well, because I've learned that you don't necessarily call it in the same multiplex zone that you set up. So you only set the sprite X and Y, the color and the pointers, and then everything else you can push into another area of the screen for that one, so it doesn't encroach on the actual where the sprite is being positioned itself. Otherwise you can get what's called like sprite tearing if you have too many cycles and it encroaches on this. So this is what's happening at the very top when the Triffid is becoming active at the moment, because I've got the routines up there, but they'll be shifted. See this blue, this cyan, and this white. This white one here, this white raster, is denoting the Triffid check routines and what have you. So obviously, if there's a check, there's a window that is set up. So if you encroach into a window, which is like pretty much like a quarter of a screen, now you can see the white raster time now going absolutely mental, because there's a lot of things going on there where it's chasing Quasi around and what have you. And there may still be room for optimization with it, but that routine, all the routines which are going on up there, they'll be shifted out the way, so you won't get that little sprite tearing on this phantom, because if you notice the phantom, he starts to flicker. So that's where the raster time's just coming down a touch, and it's causing it to flicker. See there then, but that'll be gone in the final game. You won't see that at all. So little tips for you if you're writing a game: you just move routines which are sensitive out the way. So yeah, so you can move them just below where Quasimodo's standing if you wanted, and that's not going to encroach. But you then got to be aware of the next sprite down. Will it encroach on that one, and so on and so forth. So the best place for me to put them, the routines, is probably going to be right at the bottom, just where the fire pit is, pretty much, I would think, and then that won't cause any issues. So yeah, so it's just about trying to be clever. You're always trying to think best place to put routines, best places to call them. But and the grey raster, right in the middle of this and under the pink, that's just the sound player routines. That's where I've got the sound at the moment. So I think it's probably the best place for it, because sound routines really don't affect anything like sprites and whatever. It just does its job. Obviously there'll be maybe some background music in this as well, so, and there'll be a lot more different sound effects, because the skeletons will, I think, fire something. I'm thinking they'll either fire something, but he's got a little sword there in his hand, there's not many frames of animation for that skeleton. So again, this is being just economical really with the animation frames. So there's only like 3 frames of animation, but you reuse one of them twice. Like the middle frame is obviously reused twice because you go from 1, 2, 3, then back to 2 before you restart at 1 again. So yeah, and again the Phantoms have got a couple of frames of animation on there, but you can barely notice them. It's just like the actual cloak that they're wearing it ruffles a bit at the bottom, but you can barely see it on the background that it is. You'd have to be going over an empty region to notice it a lot more clearly. But I might add a bit more like fabric ruffle to that as they're sort of drifting forwards and what have you, just so it's a little bit more bit of animation on them. But yeah, as for that, it's going okay. But like I say, yeah, my conscience. I don't think I would hit October as a deadline. So there's too much to do for what I want. I think really, I could copy a load of stuff from Christmas Caper, put it in there, but then it would just be like Christmas Caper in mechanics, and which is something I don't want, because there's a lot more enemy designs on this, so there's just a lot more involvement. But yeah, so let's see how it goes, because I think a week or two I said I was going to wait 6 weeks to see how far I was, but I can already tell if getting into September I still won't have this in a position where I'd want to release it. So it's probably going to be October 26th now, and that probably falls in line with the first game, which took about 14 months from initial just to release. So and it'll probably be about roughly the same again, I would think. But there's other things going on in life as well, which gets in the way, because life does get in the way. But some people have said, don't worry, just do it whenever you're ready, release it whenever you're ready, which is fine. So I don't think there's that massive expectation. It would be nice, of course, to get a game out quick. I just cannot write quickly. That's the only thing. If you're doing everything yourself, it does take a bit more time. But I don't think I'd just put myself under pressure really just to get this out. But yeah, I will crack on in the interim and continue and see what else. I've still got to put the little mini explosions on that. I may think as well. Oh yeah, that's what I mentioned. This weapon that is Quasimodo is firing at the moment. So what I'm going to do, I was thinking of ramping it up a bit. It's all right as it is. I was happy, but I'm thinking of maybe just taking it up to like a notch, similar to what, if you think about the weapon in Turrican, with like the plasma stream, whatever it is. I think you're doing like a smaller version of that. Not nothing as grandiose as Turrican, but maybe use character bullets for it, because I've got a couple of characters left over. I did some reworking of the character set as well, and just to free myself up a few characters. So it may be that I can use a character bullet for a streamer type effect. I might have to bring, the other thing is I might, just to get everything lined up correctly, I may have to just, because you see where his gun is now, it's just in the wrong place, I think, for him. Oh, here we go, stalkers after him again. Keep forgetting about them. Leave me alone. There's no collision on health yet, but it's yeah. I think the position of the gun, and you can just about see it with this little bit of fencing. It's just a little bit too low, because if I just put it up just a few more pixels, so it's right under his chin pretty much, then whatever I could fire out of that, I could use character bullets, or character weapon, whatever. So that would just sit above all those like fence posts. So obviously it would you've got to be you would erase the flame character briefly and then it would reappear. But that's something else I'm toying with. So it's just to make a streamer type effect. So that could work. Maybe I'd only have it about 10 characters wide, maybe. But I also thought maybe putting it on a diagonal as well. It's just how best to control it. I think if you held down fire for a certain number of seconds, and then you change the controller, so you could angle it on a diagonal as well, maybe overhead. So you could probably do like 3 other directions. The sprite frames for the Quasi probably would they be? I don't know. We're talking 2 for another 6 sprites for Quasi, but then whether still having blinking or not in those positions, that'd be another thing to decide on. It's just an idea, or maybe just use a streamer just in horizontal positions and not on diagonals. I don't know. But yeah, there'd be some rework no matter what I did anyway. So, or maybe I don't do the streamer idea and just leave it. But it was an idea. I did kind of like the idea. But we'll see. Again, this is what happens when you're designing a game. You have ideas that come into your head late at night. You think, that could be the thing. Or early in the morning, in my case, typically. I'll wake up with an idea and think, that could be good. And then it's just, I've got now write the code for that. But it's all good fun. And those who've written the game probably can identify with it. So, but yeah. Go away. Yeah, it's just whether the skeleton fires anything out of his sword, attacks you with it, maybe, I don't know, or does something else, fires at you in another way. I don't know, I've not decided, but who knows. Comments in the comments section, please. Let me know what you think. Because yeah, there's a lot of things to decide on. And I've whittled on quite a bit on this one. How long have I been going on this? Wow, 28 minutes, half an hour nearly already. Time flies. Yeah. Let me know. I mean, like I said, I did have an idea of maybe just he fires something from his eyes, like demonic skull eyes or something. He just fires that way. I don't know. I did have his little arm moving around as well, and I've got another set of sprite animation frames with him, and his little arms moving back and forward. But he looked a bit too jolly doing that. So, so yeah. But there are other enemies as well, like I say, coming out of these gravestones. And that's another little thing, just a slightly subtle thing. I changed the grass. I sort of mowed it away just underneath the little headstones. That was just a little subtle thing I did. So maybe you noticed that, maybe not. I was thinking maybe having something else hanging down further from the edges of these platforms, or not. Again, something else I've been toying with. I've got very limited, like I said, number of characters left, so it's either that or it's going to be something like the streamer maybe. Can't do it in sprites really. There's just not enough sprites available to do that sort of thing, because I need other sprites reserved for other things. If you've got like a swamp and the swamp monster is going to come out, the swamp monster might fire a character bullet at you. So I'd have to reserve a character for that, and it could fire just over the top of all these characters here, so that would probably work. And that's why I wanted maybe just Quasimodo's gun just a little bit higher, and then he could fire over the top, because it'll then just sit above in its own little like character high. You don't want it. You see, you don't want the characters just to fall across two characters, and you're having to erase two characters for it, because then it'll just look rubbish. But yeah, so lots of ideas, and like I said, a bit of progression. Quite pleased with the Triffid blinking his eye up there in the top corner, and mouth opening and what have you. But like I say, how you destroy him, you'll have to find out. I know how I want to do it, but that will be revealed at a much later date, probably, once I've got all the collision in. So that probably will be a preview 5 at some point down the line. But yeah, so as for this preview, I think that's all there is I'll talk about, because it's been quite lengthy. So yeah, whatever you're doing, enjoy. If you're coding the game yourself, I wish you well with it. Some good games coming out again recently. Check out other people's games like Coordinate Exit 2.0. It's too fast for me on screen. The movement is just a bit too thin. It's a shame, because I really like the look of it. Some really good extended background color mode graphics work in that game. Check it out if you into the retro scene and whatever you. I'm also pretty impressed with the MSX port of Terrakin. That there's a guy that's working on it. He leaves comments occasionally on my channel, and I leave comments on his. But he's done some really good work with an MSX port of Terrakin, so that's coming along. Check that out as well. Obviously, people have gone mental on the Outrun conversion of late on the Amiga. One of two is another one in progress as well, which is just a reduced colour version, and quite a bit faster on lower spec machines. So that's in the progress. But 64 stuff, yeah, LC Games keeps turning out other games. He's done another version. He's done his own version of like Hero. If you remember that game from Activision years ago, that was interesting, because he coded it all from scratch and he made it look identical to the first. So that's pretty well done. But yeah, there's just all sorts of stuff floating around at the moment. So retro scene's still quite active. C64 scenes, yeah, it's it surprises every now and again. Somebody will just come out with something. That Musketeer game, which is a bit like a Zorro type mix between a few games that on the 64, that looks quite interesting as well, quite fun. Yeah, there's some good stuff coming out at the moment. Probably more towards Christmas, you would think, probably. But yeah, check it out and enjoy if that's the sort of games you like and you download and play them. And yeah, it's quite vibrant at the moment, so there's a lot going on. And a big thank you for anyone who keeps supporting my channel, and thanks for the positive comments and feedback where it has been. I greatly appreciate it, and your time, and especially if you watch this video, which has gone on forever now. I should have told you to get the popcorn out to start with, shouldn't I suppose, but yeah, apologies. But yeah, okay, so that's enough, I think, really, now for this one. Take care, whatever you're doing. I'll see you in the next preview, I think. So yeah, all the best to you guys. Bye.